with a virtual assistant, and I wanted to go over this second video for property management and virtual assistants, because there's been a lot of people that when they realize what we've done with property management and virtual assistants, they've said, how in the world did you do that? Because what we've been able to do, what I've been able to do over the course of my career in real estate investing is with two different companies, one that had about 100 rental properties, the other one had a little bit less than 50. We've had collections in the high 90s, like 98, 99, even 100% over the course of years. And the amazing thing was we had one virtual assistant in one company, and in the other company we had one person who was a virtual assistant and one who was kind of like a part-time, like on-site type person, and that was one with the bigger company. And so we've had a lot of people say, how in the world have you been able to do that? Well, it's because that we have a great system and process for our property management. And so we were able to do that, and that's what I kind of want to show you here over this course and this module specifically. So we would have a daily meeting. So every day we would meet for about 15 to 30 minutes, and we'd go over some key areas. But that daily meeting, number one, the goal is to get on the same page. We'd have that daily meeting to get on the same page, make sure that we knew exactly what was going on during the day. I didn't want it to be more than 30 minutes in a day, especially since we wanted to get the day up and running and we wanted to get it flowing as soon as possible. But there were 4 key areas that we would hit every single day, and those 4 key areas were maintenance, applications and marketing, the late tenants and the turnover, and the on-time tenants. So I'll dive into that a little bit. So number one, maintenance is really about your current tenants. It's really about having the tenants know that are your current customers or clients that you care about them, that you know that if something is wrong with the property, as long as it's a legitimate maintenance request, that you're out there and you're on it very quickly. So it was like, how many open work orders do we have for today? How many are new? How many are that are kind of recurring or that haven't been taken care of yet? And what are we doing to systematically, totally get those off of our plate and to get those completed? The second thing was applications and marketing. So what are we doing with, and this goes to within like with turnover, but what are we doing to actually fill the ones that are ready to be filled right now, that are sitting there not producing money, but they're ready to produce money? So what are we doing right now in our do we have applications? And if not, we would work backwards and say, is the marketing working? Is it up and running? What are we doing there? Number 3, the late tenants and the turnover. So with that, we would go over everyone who was late. Are they on some kind of plan? And if they're not, have we started the eviction process? And if we have, when is their court date, or when is it going to be that they're actually going to be out of the property? Then we'd also go over turnover there too, like if it is an eviction, do we have someone ready to go to actually turn over that property and get it rent ready again? Then on-time tenants. This was another area where it was like, if you have time in the day and you need to make time, but if for the people that are on time, which if you have a big rental portfolio, it could be anywhere from 10% all the way up to 75, or depending on how well of a system you run and if you can do recurring payments, automatic payments too. But we would actually tell the on-time tenants thank you, either with a letter or a phone call or an email, just telling them you were on time this month, we really appreciate you, and then give them some other type of info there too. But honestly, that just went a long way, letting them know, hey, we know that you're trying to make an effort to do the right thing, so we'd like to reward you for that too, and talk about you and make sure that tell you that we appreciate you. Sometimes it was even a gift card or something too. So we would try and go above and beyond for those tenants. The weekly meeting. So in a weekly meeting, we would really discuss the high level numbers. So what is the collections percentage at right now? What occupancy are we at? Where are we right now with a lot of our numbers, those high level numbers? The collections rate and the filled vacancies, so I talked about that a little bit, but what are those high-level numbers that you need to see? So what is it in your business, where in the property management business, it is the collections, the filled vacancies, it is the occupancy rate, it is the other portions of the business that you want to see, how many applications did you get in, just other nitty-gritty things that you can get down into. So what are the high-level numbers for that weekly meeting that you need to see? Monthly meeting, so then we'd also do a monthly meeting. And so we would look at the profitability of the portfolio and the properties. So we try and get that from our bookkeeper at least 10 days after the beginning of the new month, so we could see how did that last month end, were we profitable? And then we'd also get, okay, is there a profitability report for each individual property too? Are we making at least the threshold of the cash flow that we want to make? Then you can make a decision. By knowing that report and knowing that, having that in your hand, if you say, well, this property is cash flowing $600 a month, this one's only cash flowing $150, so if something bad were to happen, I'm barely cash flowing anything, so that would just be upside down real quick. You could see, do I need to try and sell one of these off? Do I need to try and convert this? What can I do to make this more profitable? Is it just our repairs are totally out of control? So having those numbers give you good decision points to be able to say, yes, I can make this decision and we can make more profit on this property. Also, in that meeting, in the monthly meeting, we would go over budget discrepancies. Okay, this month, did we have a much higher marketing budget, or did we have a much higher or lower marketing budget, or did we have a much higher expense for this property? Were our repairs out of whack? What is going on this month? So we would really dive into that and say, okay, what are the real big things that are catching our attention where it's not a typical everyday expense, or it is a typical everyday expense, but it's just like 4 times as much as the previous months. And then income and expenses. We would look at the actual portfolio and say, is this the income that we're making in the expenses? What is our net profit? What are we actually making on this property management company or with the properties that we have inside of our portfolio? And we would actually look at that and say, here's the income and the expenses in that monthly meeting. Systems and processes. So this goes into, with a virtual assistant, you have to kind of think of these out of the box a little bit, because your virtual assistant is not going to be receiving checks. They're not going to be knocking on someone's door collecting the money. So number one, make it easy to pay. You need that goes for any type of business. You need to make it easy for the end customer to pay, but especially for property management. You need to make it as easy as possible for that tenant to get the money into your bank account. If that means using a software like AppFolio or Buildium, which I recommend, or if it's using some of these other things that are a little bit more price sensitive, like Cozy or some of these other online payment portals where you can actually receive payments from tenants. If you look into those, you need to make it as easy as possible. But number 2 there, software. AppFolio and Buildium are more like property management software to manage either your portfolio, portfolios for other people. But there is a really great system because payments integrate there. You can market from those systems. You can keep track of your rental properties. You can pull a lot of reports from those systems. So I like that because I like automation and I like not having to put in a bunch of data. I like having to put it in once and then you can use that data over and over again. So I really recommend using some type of software. Then you need to have your way of doing things. You need to have a process for your business. That is whatever your business name is, this is the way we do things, and this is where you can go into recording your screen and sharing that with your virtual assistant, or having your virtual assistant record what they're doing and sharing that with you inside of a Google Drive folder, and really getting everything nailed down there as far as what is your process. Because once we started doing that and we had it nailed down, and let's say a tenant was late and the property manager the first time might come to you and say, well, what are we going to do for this person? Well, what's the process? Did we file did we send off the 10-day letter or whatever it is in your state? Did we follow the actual process? And now if we have, can we work with them? Are we willing to work with them? Are they just going to be late for this, that, or the other reason? And can we work with them, or are we just going to evict them? So that's why I like having a process, because it's a lot less emotionally involved. Because if you have a mortgage on your property and you're late on that mortgage and you don't have the money, you can't really call up the bank and say, oh man, can you just give me a few more weeks, a few more months? No. So it's the same thing with a property management company. I'm not saying you should never give anyone a break, but I'm saying you should have a process that dictates, hey, if they don't pay at this time, the 10-day letter goes out, they have until here to actually pay, but then we're going to file for the eviction at this time. Or you should have it as strict as you actually want it, but you need a system that dictates those things, because that'll help you with a virtual assistant or your own internal business. So you are a customer service business. This is a great thing too, because if you have the right person on your team as a virtual assistant, they're actually going to be one of your best sales tools, because they're going to be that front line. If you have someone who has that good customer service personality, who's out there on the front lines either talking to your tenants or to the people they interact with, and they have a good experience, that is just going to boost your company in everyone's eyes, internally, externally, all around. So you are really in the customer service business. If you're a property management company, you have several customers. You have the tenant, you have the owners, and you have the owner of your company. So you've got a lot of different people that you need to make happy. But then if it's just you and you're managing your own properties, then it's really the tenants and you're the owner of that company that is really the customer for you. But if you're in property management, you're really in customer service because you want to make sure at the end of the day, everyone is taken care of. I know there's bad apples as tenants, and there's a lot of bad apples, but at the end of the day, if you have a good tenant, you want to make sure they're taken care of. If you have a good owner, make sure they're taken care of. If you have someone that's getting on your nerves, you might need to either evict them or fire them as a client if they're an owner inside of your property management company. But at the end of the day, you are a customer service business, and everyone needs to know that you have their back, including your customers, your clients, and your internal people. So accountability and results. None of this really matters if you don't actually get the results that you want to see. So I want to go back there to accountability and results. Because accountability and results, if you don't have that, you really don't have a business. Because you need to say either in the weekly meeting, in the daily meeting, where are our numbers at for today? How many late people do we have? Well, how about for the weekly meeting, where's our collections? Are they going up consistently throughout the month, or are we stagnating and not getting, we can never break that 90 percentage point, or whatever it is. You can actually then take that and say, here's the results that we're getting. Are they actually what we would be able to do if we did it ourselves? Because this whole thing is about property managing with virtual assistants, and we've been able to successfully implement virtual assistants inside of our business, and we've been able to have them do the property management, but at the same time, it's because they've had a good system, processes, but they were accountable. We would have these daily meetings, we would have these weekly and monthly meetings, making sure that they were on track. And if that sounds like overkill to you, then you probably never built a business. Because you really, in order to build a business, you need the system and process. That doesn't mean you have to do the daily meeting. At first, you might have to do it, but down the road, you'll have managers inside of there even managing those people, or the virtual assistant could be hired or elevated and delegated to that manager position to where they're managing other property managers underneath of them. So I'm just saying, if you have the accountability and results, you're going to see that none of it really matters unless you have that accountability in place and you're getting the results that you really want to see. So if you want to get the work off your plate that you don't want to do, and you want to get the high dollar per hour tasks onto your plate, and you want to looking into getting a virtual assistant, you can go to simplecfosolutions.com/VA hiring process. And right there you can see that there's a VA hiring process that we have. But like I said, I hope this really helped you out, because we've seen it successfully done on several different companies using virtual assistants, but not just using them, but integrating them inside of your business as a key role inside of there, and training them to do the things that you don't even think they could probably do. And a big one is property management. I challenge your thinking. If you're like, David, there's no possible way, I would challenge you on that. I would say you're probably not thinking of different ways you could do the business, not thinking of ways you can automate it or systematize it or put a process in place. I really wanted you to get an actual real world example that we've been able to do that with several companies now, integrate virtual assistants where they've been able to get the collections up in the high 90 range, and they've been doing a great job for years now. And so I just wanted to give you that little nugget of wisdom here in this second video. And if you want, you can always go to Recession-Proof Business, where it's the simplecfosolutions.com recession-proof business. And if you go to that website, you can see that book, and you can get the audio version or the ebook version there too on Amazon. And that's just to help you and your business grow. I talk a little bit about virtual assistants inside there, but if you wanted to get that book, it's there on Amazon for you. I'm David Richter, the Simple CFO, and from simplecfosolutions.com. I really appreciate you going through these videos, and if you want to check out Building a Recession-Proof Business, that's another course that I have on here too, but I really appreciate you watching these ones. I hope it brought you some value. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out through that website, and you can always contact me there. Thank you so much.